gentlemen, my plea today is for countries to come together to create the environment that enables every sector of industry to take the action required. We know this will take trillions, not billions of dollars. We also know that countries, many of whom are burdened by growing levels of debt, simply cannot afford to go green. Here we need a vast military-style campaign to marshal the strength of the global private sector across 10 of the most emitting and polluting industries. They include energy, agriculture, transportation.
Yeah, so it should be interesting. He's already been calling for a military-style campaign to get rid of anyone who uses energy. Should be interesting. And of course, as I mentioned, his old friends are like Jimmy Savile and Jeffrey Epstein. Actually, Ghislaine Maxwell's father was good friends with the royal family. Surprise, surprise, like everyone surrounding them are all basically child sex traffickers and rapists and probably murderers, because they probably do a lot of child sacrifices and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, they hang around with the Epsteins, the Maxwells, the Jimmy Savile, and Charles has been hanging out with Satan Claus for like decades. They go back a long way. Annual meeting, 1992. We've been talking over the last like 3 years about how ridiculous the whole 2 weeks to flatten the curve was. And as soon as they said it, 2.5 years ago, I said this will probably never end, basically. It won't end for years. And it'll be turned into like a medical tyranny across the world. Totally right. I'm banned everywhere for saying it. But even St. Claus has come out, so many of them have come out, so many, and said basically the whole COVID thing is just sort of like a entree or an appetizer for their one world tyranny, new world order, all based around the idea of environmentalism, which is basically just a code word for genocide. They want to get rid of all the people because they're using too much stuff. And they care so much about the environment that they want to basically kill everyone. And now, one of the top people in the European Union has come out and said everyone has to stop basically using electricity in the entire European Union. And what does she do? She says it's just to flatten the curve.
And this is what is expensive, because in these peak demands, the expensive gas comes into the market. So what we have to do is flatten the curve and avoid the peak demands. We will propose a mandatory target for reducing electricity use at peak hours, and we will work very closely with the member states to achieve this.
Sound familiar? Yeah, it'll just be 2 weeks. Everyone in the European Union just can't use power for 2 weeks, and then you can again. They promise. Oh, this is going to get bad. Real bad. Yeah, the World Economic Forum wishes every district good luck with the coming Hunger Games. You know, if you use government money at this point, you are basically aiding and abetting your own enslavement and terrorism, basically, that they do.
Our enemy is a radical network of terrorists and every government that supports them.
And I'm serious about that. Like, I hear a lot of people saying that use cash, don't use cards and stuff, which is better than using cards. But if you're still using any government money, and I know you have to sometimes, but if you're not trying not to, like 100% trying not to, like going to every store and going, hey, do you accept Monero or Bitcoin or stuff like that? And if not, tell them they should, and tell them how. Like your landlord, people who work for you, say, hey, do you want Bitcoin or Monero? I'll pay you in that. And basically, if people don't do that, they're going to end up losing everything and totally enslaved. But as long as there is government money still, and it won't be very long, by the way, paper government money, that's a huge thing they want to get rid of. They want to bring in the central bank digital currencies, which that 800-pound guy from the, what is it, the World Bank or something? he's like so excited. He's like, yeah, we can control everything you do once we have you using the central bank government digital currencies.
All our analysis on CBDC, in particular for the use of general use, we tend to establish the equivalence with cash. And there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that. Those two issues are extremely important, and that makes a huge difference with respect to what cash is.
Yeah, so that's what they have planned.